Deep in the heart of a rural community in the eastern part of Uganda lies the village of Mifumi. This winding road is taking us to Mifumi Primary School, the heart of the Mifumi project. In 1996, there was no road to this village. There was no school, no education, health services, or piped clean water for every child in this village.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah, hello.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning. Happy
Welcome
New Year.
to Mifumi. Happy New Year too.
Hello,
Thanks,
Mr.
thank
Minister.
you.
How are you
Welcome,
doing?
sir. Fine, sir.
Yes,
How's everything?
We are fine.
Good, good.
Yeah, we are happy to receive you.
Ah, a new year now. Yeah, how is the
yes.
school?
The school is
Busy,
okay. We have opened. The children have reported.
Yes.
That's great.
You are welcome to the office.
Thank
please.
you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thanks.
Yeah.
Mifumi Primary School is also the only school in rural Tororo district that offers nursery and preschool education with all its known benefits.
Okay, let's begin. Sit down. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, and you really want to show. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands.
For girls especially, it has been shown that the earlier and the longer they stay in formal education, the better their chances in life, and the headmaster thinks so too.
Mifumi is very blessed and lucky to have nursery section. It's very, very necessary because the 2 years help children to socialize. They also learn to read, and when they get to P1, they're actually ready for the class.
Okay, volume, if nobody can remember the people content, volume is a space occupied by a material.
Because this community is very rural, the level of poverty has affected the motivation of teachers who have to go elsewhere to search for greener pastures to be able to support their families.
A book is a material. It takes up some space, and we call them irregular objects. We call them what?
Irregular objects.
Irregular objects.
So thanks to John Carnegie, who through a funding scheme that tops up the basic pay package of the teachers in this school, he has helped Mifumi Primary School retain all her teachers. In fact, the longest serving of them is Mr. Sagaya Valentine.
I'm Sagaya Valentine, P7 class teacher, head of science, head of discipline, head of academics, head of stock, library, and the acting deputy head teacher.
Augustine, come and take up this reading. And tell the class what it is. The reading? You cannot take up the reading while standing up here. You must go to the level where it is and try to see exactly where it falls. What is it? Looking at the volume there. 21.
So the kids have really taken to science, as we will hear from Augustus.
I am the head boy. They teach us maths, science, SS, and English. The subject I like best is science. My science teacher is Mr. Saga Valentine. He teaches us respiratory system, sanitation, and basic hygiene. Science is a part of health, our body, and part of even a home.
It is true, a few people can do a lot to change the lives of so many. Mr. John Carnegie, Meg and Mike Wilde, Wilms or Wells, Comic Relief, and all the friends of Mifumi worldwide.
I got involved in Mifumi soon after I retired as headmaster of St Michael's School here in Jersey. I had 25 years experience, and I wanted to use that experience to perhaps provide some help in an underdeveloped country. And I was introduced to Atuki by my brother-in-law, who was running at the time a hospital, or had been involved in a hospital in Nora. He introduced me to Atuki, and that was where it began. I would say that Mifumi Primary School is a beacon of hope in a very impoverished part of Uganda, and if we could replicate it within this area, we could transform the structure of society. And clearly, the education of children is fundamental in order to establish good relationships within families and homes and in the business world. So I feel that this is a very worthwhile investment for anybody who wants to see an area that has suffered so much over the years come to life again.
I first met Tuki, I think it was the spring of '91, in Fog Lane in Manchester, as an area meeting of Save the Children Fund. And I was asked to look after the speakers, and I became fascinated by her. She was a very charming person, and she asked me would I like to help them. And I said, well, you get registered as a charity before I can do anything. So we became friends over the time, met a few times, and then they had to move to Bristol, and we moved to Windsor. And then one day I get a call from Bristol, from Atuki, and she said, we're now registered as a charity, and would you be our chairman? And I tried to wriggle out of that one, but Atuki is very persuasive and has a good story to tell, and I became involved. My future with Mifumi is as an ambassador. I have had so much involvement for so long that there's no way I can just let it drift away from me. It's part of my life. So anybody who wants me to talk about Mifumi, I will happily do that. Also, I will continue at the Scholarship Fund, and I have 11 children there now, and I suppose another 2 will come this year. So while I'm able to raise funds, I will continue to fund those children through school, because they are the future of Uganda. They are the leaders of their community, and well, they are the hope.
They must be very generous, because one, they are donating to a place where they don't know. They have never reached there. And after a long time, they only come in to see how far the place has moved in comparison to the support they have given. So they must be very generous people.
And all of this comes from the efforts of John Carnegie and Meg Wilde, who know what it would be like for a child who is asked to learn without breakfast, lunch or tea, or even water to drink throughout the day in the hot sun. So with this in mind, John Carnegie puts a mug of porridge into the hands of every child in this school, every day of school. Karate gives girls confidence to believe they can do anything they set their minds to. It motivates them to do their best. Through karate, girls receive the physical and mental conditioning they need to avoid risky situations. The karate girls have a great role model in their trainer Barbara, who is a karate expert and holds a black belt.
Karate has changed the lives of the girls in a way that girls can defend themselves, girls are confident, they can lead, they can even demonstrate in front of a very big crowd. And also it has made them resist situations like dropping out of schools, early marriage, and HIV and AIDS infections.
The headmaster has come to the one and only school in this part of the district that has running water and electricity. Again, all thanks to John Carnegie and the efforts of Meg Wild, who have seen electricity and piped water come to this school. And none of these children have electricity at home. Mifumi has recently, in a groundbreaking campaign, succeeded in getting the practice of bride price abolished by law. This translates into freedom for young girls to pursue their education and not to be forced into early marriage for financial benefit of their parents. The campaign has managed to change hearts and minds, and the school continues to encourage girls to support them in their education and to rally their parents to follow suit.
My name's Glyn Turner, and I'm the co-founder of Mifumi. I met Atuki. We were both in Kenya at the time, and she talked about this village, Mifumi village, and I was very intrigued. So when I visited Uganda back in 1990, she talked about wanting to help the school and these sorts of things, and so I was totally hooked. I feel that irrespective of where you're born, you should have the same opportunities. And quite obviously at that time, the children in Mifumi village were not having the same opportunities. If you're born in Manchester or you're born in Uganda, you should have similar opportunities in life, and education is fundamental to that.
The way I came to be involved with Mifumi is when my parents retired in 1984, and they moved back to Mifumi village, which is where our home is. So when my parents came here, they became part of the community and rallied around the community which was trying to build this school. So we used to volunteer here at the school during my S4 VAC, S6. During law school, I'd volunteer here during my vacations. And I had a classroom which was at first under a tree, and then later on I was in a mud hut. The children I was teaching sat on the floor, on the sand. Some sat on tree stumps, and they wrote. We didn't have any books, so they wrote in the sand. If we wanted to learn how to tell the time, we went out and looked at the sun. So it was really a pleasure teaching them. And when I finished and started wondering what to... Well, when I finished, I met my husband, Glenn, who was teaching in Kenya in a very, very good school. By then, war had overtaken Uganda. This part of the country had suffered, and my father had lost his life in the war. So as you do, you ask yourselves, what are your dreams for the future? And I said to Glenn, I'd really love to finish what my father began, trying to build the school into a durable structure instead of mud walls and grass roof. So we thought, why don't we do it? And so when we got married, we went to England and registered a charity and called it Mifumi. So Mifumi is really the name of the village because it's the heart of the project. I was so inspired by that thirst that the children had for knowledge. At that time, we really felt education was the only avenue